All right. Hey, Larry, thanks a bunch for joining us today.
Yeah, great to
Join-
be here. Thanks a lot for having me.
Joining me today. Yeah, so you're calling in from Mountain View area?
That's right. I'm in the 219 Design Mountain View office. This is our headquarters where we've been for almost 15 years, I'm sure.
And that the 219, so headquarters, where else are you distributed and located?
We have an office in San Francisco. That's where our mechanical shop is located, and most of our mechanical engineering happens there. Here in Mountain View, we have a lot of our software developers based here, and we've got some electrical prototyping areas. We do have a light shop here for doing some mechanical assembly, but definitely more heavier equipment in San Francisco, and we also have an office in Raleigh, North Carolina. So that started up a few years back, and that's growing, and we just moved into a bigger space over there.
Before we get started, thank you for your time. You've been a really critical and kind of one of the early members of the IoTerra network, and we really appreciate having you guys in there. And you guys already gotten involved with a number of different people in the ecosystem. So just wanted to say thanks for the time. And you mentioned the headquarters are in the Bay Area, but you've actually been in the Bay Area for quite some time. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you went to Berkeley or Stanford or both actually.
I went to both. Kind of stabbed my undergrad loyalties in the back, and
Yeah, I thought that they were enemies.
it was kind of funny because there was a time where I really felt like, oh, I can't go to grad school at Stanford. They're my enemy. I don't want to do that. And that wore off eventually, and I was excited to go when I got accepted there for grad school. So it was a really great program, and I was really interested in mechatronics in school, and that was the thing that really attracted me. There's this great mechatronics sequence of courses. It's called Smart Product Design. That's the official title of the class. That's Mechanical Engineering 218 at Stanford, and of course, that's not a coincidence that the 219 design is the next number up from that.
Way cool. That's a cool backstory. And so that's Stanford, right? Not
Yeah, that's Stanford ME 218, and that's where I met the other co-founders of 219 Design. We started this up before I even walked out of the door of Stanford, before I even finished up my master's program. We were cranking on some engineering projects, you know, extracurricular projects that we were just doing, trying to make a living, I guess. So that was a lot of fun back then.
and it's actually so in Berkeley, my co-founder actually also went to Berkeley. He didn't do the Stanford trader kind of thing after, but no, he went to Berkeley and then was in, I think it was called EECS, Electrical Engineering Computer Science. And were you doing sort of the same thing but on the mechanical side?
I took a lot of classes from the EECS department. I was my degree was in mechanical engineering, but I minored in computer science. I was really interested in that. Berkeley was interesting because I had to declare my major when I applied. I don't think that's required, but I think they prefer that you do that. So I chose mechanical engineering while I was still in high school. I don't regret the choice, but I might have decided to go the EECS route if I kind of explored a little bit after I got to school. But I really love building things. I love being hands-on. So it wasn't the wrong place for me at all. But I was really interested in programming, so I took a lot of computer science classes too.
Got it. And I mean, nowadays, almost every modern product is connected to the internet somehow, through something. But
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I'm kind of curious. So you met your co-founder in grad school, and then you guys got started like right out of grad school, or did you do some?
Yeah, there
Yep.
there was four of us that kind of came out of this smart product design class, the sequence of classes, and we were introduced to somebody in need of our services. We just this class was a life-changing experience for us. We just wanted to keep doing it. We learned about kind of embedding microprocessors, microcontrollers into these mechanical systems. Our projects that we did for the class were kind of making an autonomous robot or making a little interactive game, and we, for all of us, that was kind of, a lot more fun than anything we'd done before. We wanted to keep on doing that. So we found somebody that wanted us to help them develop their product, and it involved a microprocessor. It involved a solar powered battery rechargeable system and wireless communication. So we were really we were excited to get involved with it. We were almost working for free at that time. We were kind of, we'd all had some summer internships and things like that that didn't pay very well, and we didn't feel like we needed a lot more than that. So our prices were good at that point, but our experience level was pretty low, and we were at that time where we didn't know what we didn't know, and we just kind of dove into this project, um, and we just had to figure it out and work our way through it, and the client stuck with us through that, and eventually got some more significant funding to kind of turn the product into something that was manufacturable. So we grew a lot with this company, and really kind of made 219 what it is through figuring it out on this first project that we had. So we did start working on it after we finished this smart product design sequence, and before we even had all graduated, we had founded the company.
Awesome. It's actually it's pretty similar to my story as well. Kind of got started, for us it was a little bit farther out, because I didn't do the grad school thing, so needed to
Uh,
get some experience under my belt. But yeah, and now it's been what, 20 years, 20-ish years since you've been doing it.
2004. It was April of 2004, I think, when we actually filed our paperwork. We started working on the project a little bit earlier than that, and then we figured out, well, we need to we need to have some legal entity here that's going to get paid for this. So, but it was April 2004, so we're coming up on 18 years.
Awesome. Well, you should definitely, you're gonna have a big massive party for 19 years, right? Because
Yeah.
yeah.
19 years, 20 years, we'll have plenty of parties.
there's
We're
there's a little prophecy there.
definitely.
219. Well, hey, I know you guys are interdisciplinary, and you have pretty much most, or if not all, probably most engineering disciplines required to, like, launch an IoT product on your team. But can you tell me a little bit about actually 219 right now, the team, and what you guys specifically specialize in and do?
Yeah, so we started off, with this really, you know, mechatronics embedded systems approach, microprocessors, circuit boards, circuitry, and then mechanical design to surround that, some kind of housing enclosure kind of thing. So self-contained physical devices that we're going to do something smart, and we have had a lot of demand for our services to even going back to this first project that we worked on, to be developing software to support that system. So software that runs on a desktop, on a server, on some kind of accompanying device with it. So so getting these devices connected to more powerful machines, connected to the internet to push data up to a server, it's gone way back for us, and it's shaped our company a lot too, because you know, I minored in software and in computer science in school, but we didn't have any dedicated programmers. We didn't have any software specialists. So you know, we figured it out on our own for the first few years of doing that. But I think when we hired software engineers who that was their career, it it changed a lot about 219. It, you know, it opened new doors to us, and you know, over half of our company now is either works on software or firmware in some respect, and
Oh wow, okay,
yeah, a lot of our
cool.
engineers cross back and forth between those. So um, software projects are different in nature. Software never has to end. You can keep on changing your code and updating your device and redeploying forever. And so people are always, our clients are always finding, you know, new things that they want to do, new features they want to add. So it keeps our team busy, and it's, you know, that part of our company has grown
Yeah.
from nothing up to half of our staff.
And you mentioned that the first project you worked on was actually like a embedded electronics project with an IoT project, or no?
Well, it didn't start off as IoT.
Yeah.
It was just a self-contained system. It was a crosswalk safety device. So it was lights embedded in the road that would light up when there was a pedestrian crossing. So the pedestrian
Cool.
can push a button on the side of the road, and uh, so this is something that existed before we started working on our device, but our client's spin on it was that everything was going to be solar powered, you know, wirelessly activated. So it was going to be a lot cheaper to install because you weren't going to have to cut a trench in the road. You could just drill smaller holes and drop these devices in. So that's where it all started. So you know, the devices were connected in the sense that there was a controller on the side of the road and they're doing wireless communication. But you know, our client eventually identified the need to monitor and activate these devices remotely, and collect, you know, usage data and diagnostic data. We had that from the start, the data collection aspect of it, but you had to go physically access the device to do that. So we after a few years of working on this, we started putting cell modems at these installations. So you didn't actually have to go visit the installation to get the data. The cell modem would dial into the server, and you know, push the data that it had. You could, you know, you could update the firmware on the devices going the other way. You know, you could send the data and bootload the devices using that cell modem connection too. So a lot of powerful things that we were able to do there. It's kind of funny about
Yeah.
that project too, because that was, you know, probably around 2006 2007 that we're putting the cell modems out in the devices. So we didn't really use the term IoT back then. I feel like
Yeah.
I kind of
I was
grew up
gonna
with.
say like dialing up and dialing in, you know, things have changed so much. I mean, what have you seen changing in the space in the IoT landscape? I mean,
Well,
IoT is a buzzword, anyways, but like, yeah,
we didn't, you know, we were just kind of going with the flow and doing, you know, doing what was demanded of us, I guess. So we were, I think that the original needs that we were fulfilling were this system where it was going to be expensive to go out and visit all the installations, and it's just going to save a lot of labor and a lot of cost to get the data at the server. But there's just been so many different things that have changed since then. You know, the hardware is getting a lot cheaper to be able to connect. There's Wi-Fi all over the place. It's a lot easier to find ways to connect. Cell modem coverage, if you don't have Wi-Fi access, is a lot more available and a lot faster. We were using 2.5G modems in that first that first IoT project that we did, if you want to call it that, for that cross system.
I
And
would definitely classify it. Yeah, it
yeah,
counts.
I mean, it definitely counts. I mean, it's we're connecting these devices to the internet. We called it machine to machine communication at that point because we just didn't
Yeah,
use the term IoT. But you know, so you can get, you know, you can get your embedded device on the 4G or 5G network now, and there's going to be a lot more coverage for that and a lot better, you know, stability of that network. Things are going to get dropped a lot less. You push a lot more data through that connection, and then you know, it's really interesting because the things that people are doing with the data now, people are just creating a lot more value with it. So really analyzing trends of what consumers are doing, or, you know, usage of different devices. So companies are finding ways to learn a lot more. It's not just about, you know, the diagnostics or the, you know, the health of the particular system. It's about people's behavior and just a lot of other trends that people are using. So so it's become a lot more prevalent. It's getting used in a lot more ways. uh, the fact that smartphones are everywhere also really changes things a lot. There's so many more ways, you know, you don't need a cell modem anymore if you can get your device connected to somebody's smartphone. And in most cases, for a consumer device, I think the end user is very eager to do that. I love the ability to interact with all of my smart home devices on my phone, or, you know, anytime I have the opportunity to
yeah. I
do
mean,
something from my phone instead of going over and touching the screen on something or whatever, it's a pretty satisfying experience.
yeah. And there's the consumer satisfaction. There's the experience, and then also just being able to access and update hardware or learn from hardware once it's deployed, I think is invaluable now. And people have seen that. I'm curious. So you started in the safety space, and you know, including solar powered devices and you know, long range communications with your cellular modem and short range wireless community. Where is it kind of migrated? Not the space in general, but with you guys with 219. What kinds of projects have you seen a lot of?
um, you know, we're just seeing more of everything. We didn't Medical devices are something that has become, you know, a bigger part of our portfolio over the last 10 years. And you know, there's a few reasons why that is, but when we first started doing medical devices, um, we weren't really thinking much about IoT for them. We weren't thinking about connectivity. We were trying to design very robust systems with, you know, well designed, well documented, well tested software. um, but IoT is finding its way into them. A really good example that I have of that is a laser eye surgery device that we've been working on for many years. And when we got started there, it's a device where the doctor needs to go program their treatment before they apply it. So we started by having the doctor enter their treatment parameters and their treatment plan on the device. So you have to be in the facility where you're going to perform the treatment before you're doing it to plan things out. So, you know, it's a great device, but that part of it wasn't really ideal. The next step for that particular device was to allow the users to program their treatments on their home computer, their office computer, and on their laptop. So you don't have to go into the room where you're going to do the operation anymore, but you have to save that data to USB stick and physically transfer it onto the machine. So there were a few things that could go wrong there. You could lose the USB stick. You could forget to bring it with you. You could save the wrong patient data grab the wrong USB stick for the patient you're treating. So so there's still room for improvement there, that get rid of that manual step. And so that's a place where we've used IoT on these devices that we've been working on for a long time without ever really thinking of that as a core feature of the device. But it's made a lot of difference to be able to program that treatment on wherever you happen to be with an internet connection, on your tablet or your phone, wherever, and have the treatment get saved to the cloud, and then it shows up on the machine. The machine that's going to do the surgery can access the cloud. It's connected to the local network, and then get to the internet. So you're taking that manual step out. You're just really improving the usability a lot.
Yeah.
So that's a cool story of something we've been working on for a long time and how we've seen it change. But we see this in a lot of places we wouldn't really expect. So, food distribution, transportation, sports entertainment, and
Everything. Yeah.
yeah. So a lot of really interesting places where we wouldn't have thought about it.
So, so looking at connected products nowadays, you probably, this is potentially been beaten over the head, but what would you give in terms of advice, or what do you need to know if you're looking to incorporate connectivity into your existing hardware product or design a new connected hardware product?
There, yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much that goes into it. It's you got to think about the device itself, and so that's going to have circuitry and electronics and electrical engineers that need to design it. There's going to be a processor in the device, and you need somebody to develop the firmware that's going to control that hardware and connect, make the carry out the communication that's going to happen wherever it connects to, whether it's some other device nearby or whether that's communicating all the way up to a server in the cloud. So you have to write the firmware that runs on the device. You need mechanical design to at a minimum make an enclosure, and sometimes if the device is doing something more sophisticated, design the physical component of what it's going to do. So that's all on the device side, and then you have to think about the server side or the host side. There's going to be software that's receiving all of the data that comes from this connected device, processing it, making decisions about what to do with it. And then in a lot of cases, there's going to be some kind of user interface on the other end for people to interact with the data and to view it, and program and configure things. So that in a lot of cases is going to be a web browser based application or a mobile application. So you need the developers to specialize in that type of software. And if you're trying to get this in the hands of consumers or even something like medical professionals, where you don't want them making mistakes, the usability is going to be important. You need some UX design and some graphic design to go along with everything else. So there's so much, so many different pieces to this, it's really cool for engineers that want to be a part of it because there's so many ways to contribute, but it's a lot to cover. 219 is a very interdisciplinary company. We have a lot of different engineers on our team. We don't cover all of these different areas, but we've worked through most of these problems, and we've got places that we partner up with, and we're kind of familiar with what goes along with it. So it's a lot to cover, and it's really hard to do all of those things really well.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the environment changes so fast too. I mean, I've been in it for like not nearly as long as you have, but for the past 7 years, I feel like every single year, we're put up in front of things that are different, faster, cheaper, quicker, but then also there's a bunch of noise where we don't really know what people are actually using, or it's hard to tell what is not going to go end of life or what is going to be like the best bet. And so when looking at this kind of rapidly changing landscape, like what do you see, what do you tell companies when they're looking to like integrate maybe IoT or connectivity into a product versus design something from scratch? How do you look at that?
Well, there's a lot to say, and I can definitely uh, talk the most about 219's perspective on it, the places where we've offered the most help. Uh, you know, so the things that I think that you need to be concerned about, in addition to to building up this team that can cover all of these areas, um, it, you need to execute flawlessly, because security is a big problem. And if there's vulnerabilities in your hardware, in your firmware, in your server side software, your data is going to be exposed to bad actors. If your devices can get updated, which out in the field, which is par for the course these days, new features are always desired, and so that's always going to be an avenue that gets taken. There can be malicious updates to the firmware on these devices that can kind of take them over and cause them to do things they're not supposed to. And then the fact that they're physically located in the homes of customers or commercial facilities, that's another big problem. So when there's failures on the security end of things, it's very often public and very costly. So it's
Yeah.
important to avoid that. It's important to watch out for that.
So when looking at new products and things like yeah, it's kind of it's yeah. I guess one of the things I'm trying to do with IoTerra is really help with this issue of like, you have to deal with all these crazy challenges that you just mentioned, like security of new products, integration challenges, and yeah, I guess it's just what you're saying is the team is super important. You got to have a team that can stay on top of things.
Yeah, it's I think knowing what problems are out there, knowing where the system can be compromised. There it's not just security issues that you might run into. It's performance issues. You got to worry about battery life. You got to worry about the robustness of your communication protocol. You don't want your data to get dropped or lost or not get through. Um, if there's a cell modem, you want to make sure you don't lose cell reception or get the calls dropped. So
Yeah.
you just have to be aware, and I think that you have to make sure, if you're in a situation where your company is developing a lot of different devices, or you're like us, where you're working on a lot of different devices, you gotta learn your lessons and make sure to carry them from one effort to another, and be prepared to deal with the problems when they come up again.
Yeah.
If you're trying to focus on one particular device, then you got to give yourself time to run into these hurdles, and jump over them, I guess. You gotta you just need to make sure that you can be prepared for the unexpected and work through it.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious, like, seeing all these kinds of projects. What are you seeing anything new? What's new coming up in the connected space, or across the different industries that you're in? You mentioned medical and some infrastructure type projects, but yeah, I'm curious.
Well, so there's some kind of new skills, I guess I would say, that are coming up for us a lot. I can talk about a few of the project specific things, but I guess in terms of uh, the new things that we're having to learn, the new trends in our projects, I guess, we're working on a few things where we're really driving the cost way down. And if you look way back in the early days, um, when we're putting cell modems in crosswalk safety installations, uh, these are systems that are paid for by city, by the city funds, I guess. They're a few thousand, maybe $10,000 per installation, and so paying a few $100s to get your cell modem in there and get the data plan and get all that to happen isn't a deal breaker. It's tolerable. When we're trying to deploy a lot more devices for clients in a different setting, like consumer or retail type of setting where there's going to be a lot of devices out there, $50, adding $50 to the cost of goods is oftentimes it's going to be a deal breaker. So learning to get the cost way down to give our clients a chance to make that business case for their IoT device where they can show that the benefits of having this connectivity is going to offset the cost increase, is something that we've been working a lot on, and of course getting the lower price tag on the cost of goods is going to make that an easier case to make. So there's been a lot of component research that's gone into that, really analyzing situations where it's going to be easy to connect or hard to connect. Is there Wi-Fi? Is there a local wired connection? Investigating the ways to connect and the cost trade-offs of those and the components that you use is something that we've been getting a lot of recent experience doing. So that,
Yeah.
like I said, that's something we didn't worry too much about earlier. And there's a fun thing that's gotten started for us, where we're taking a more active role in the security part of it. So we've always been aware of what we need to do to make our system secure and design our communication protocols to be robust and encrypt our data and really lock things down as well as we can. But we were hired by a client recently who knew that their devices were getting hacked, that their security measures were getting bypassed, and so they came to us to reproduce the attack, find the vulnerability, and report back to them. So this was really fun. We didn't work on the design of the device, but we had to figure out how to break into it. So it required our hardware and software expertise to pull that off, and we were able to break into their device, and we reported back to them, and they'll use the information we provided to understand how this would happen and minimize the occurrence of it in the future. So
Very cool. Very cool.
unfortunately, I can't give it too many details out about it, but it was a lot of fun to work on, and to, our version of kind of being the white hat hackers, I guess. So
Yeah, no, it sounds like every engineer's dream. Yeah. Um, well, I mean, that kind of like brings me to the logical question, like, what are some of the coolest projects you've worked on or that you can talk about, I guess?
Yeah, it's there. So I touched on the surgical device with the treatment planning remote. That's a really cool outcome. There's another laser eye surgery device that we've worked on. We happen to have found ourselves doing a number of those over the years. I think we've just gotten a good reputation among the community there. But we did a project for a company called Norlace, where they have an eye surgery device, and they connected it to an Android tablet. So they didn't have to put a screen on their device in order to have a user interface on it. They just have the tablet separate from it, and they can leverage a lot of the things that you get from the tablet. So in addition to having a very nice high resolution screen that's well designed and produced at scale, they can also take advantage of the other features like voice control. So we wrote our software to run on that tablet and let the surgeon set up their parameters, and And it's really cool for them to be able to be, have their eyes in the eyepieces of this surgical device, and their hands on the buttons, and be able to talk to their tablet and tell it to change the treatment parameters on the fly. So that was a huge win for our client there, and a lot of fun for us to do. Another one of the really cool companies that we're working with right now is called Purcell, and they're working on the next generation of bulk food dispensing for grocery stores. So it's a really cool idea that they have, and they're they're making a smart bulk food dispenser. They're putting digital scales inside each bin, so when it gets when the food comes out, the system knows how much is being dispensed. In the traditional bulk food dispensing, there's a lot of pain points. You have to dispense your food and kind of guess at how much you're getting, and then you have to weigh it at the end, and you have to fill out the little tag. So this system really takes care of all those pain points. It as it's dispensing, it's weighing the food, like I mentioned. It's showing you on a touch screen the price of the food that you're buying and the weight of it in real time as it's dispensing, so you know when to stop when you've got the right amount. And then it prints the label for you, so you don't have to deal with the tiny tag and the pen to write that out. So it's a really cool experience for the customer, and it's great for the grocery store too, because the whole system is connected to the internet. And so in the store, or maybe even in headquarters, they can monitor what's getting dispensed and how much is left in each bin, so they know when to refill the bins, and they can see what the demand is for all these different food products, and really do a lot with all this data. So it's just really cool for both the user and the store, that there's so much that you can do with this.
And they're eliminating packaging with bulk food. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's a really cool environmental aspect to it too. So I really just look at this in terms of the technology and the the user experience. I'm looking at it selfishly myself. Like I would love to have a better experience in the grocery store, but it's awesome that you can have both of those two things working together.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I know the Purcell guys actually, and through the Ioterra network. So I'm really glad that people are meeting each other and helping each other out, and that's what we're trying to get the Ioterra network to be useful for. So
yeah, that's amazing. That's that we've had that connection through the Ioterra network. So and it's definitely an example of the kind of cool project that we've been able to do because of our connections, because of our experience with the type of work that we do. So awesome that we were able to get in touch with these guys through you, and thanks so much for that, of course.
Well, thanks, David, for being I apologize. I'm thinking David, the CEO of Purcell, but thanks, Larry, for being a part of the Ioterra network. And it's a lot of fun, and it's about building cool products, and that's the kind of product that we're proud, and product owner, and proud to be in the ecosystem. So
yeah, it'll be a win for all of us for sure.
Well, hey, I really appreciate your time today, Larry, and I thank you so much for sharing a bit about your history and 219 Designs. Anything you'd like to close up with, or any thoughts you'd like to share? Or
yeah, sure. I mean, it's just been a great ride for us at 219. We're really excited that we've had the opportunity to work on so many devices for our clients and bring them into the Internet of Things. We love reinventing things and making something new again. And when you get this extra little benefits of improving patient health or helping the environment, that makes it all the better. So we didn't set out to be an IoT focused design firm, but the interdisciplinary nature of the team that we've set up and the work that we like to do has made us a really good choice for some of those projects, and we love working on it. We've gotten to learn so much from it. So I'm really happy to be able to pass on, some of my perspective on this, and just chat about it a little bit. So thanks for having me on to do that. We can, we work at so many different stages of the process with our clients, from the napkin sketch all the way to getting the product out the door and into the hands of the manufacturers. So I'd encourage anybody who's listening who thinks they could use our help to reach out. Our website's 219design.com, and you can send an email to getstarted@219design.com. So thanks a lot for having me. It was great to chat about this.
Awesome. Thanks. Hey, have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks so much.
Check it out.